everyone. I'm so happy you could join us again today on this epic day of all things Robert the Bruce having to do with the film that has been released. And we are so excited. And I have goosebumps. We have Kevin McNally here, and he's joined us today to talk a little bit about this film and his role, as well as his career and other roles, and anything else you would like to talk about, Kevin.
Okay.
And you have such an amazing body of work, if we can just kind of try to start there, because it's tough to kind of think about where we should start with you, because you have been at this since you were 16 years of age.
I know. I'm still not fed up with it yet.
Well, and you have such an incredible body of work. You're probably one of the most well-known characters you've played has been in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right,
Mr.
with
Gibbs.
Joshamee Gibbs, yeah.
Yes, which was amazing. I mean, I feel like Pirates of the Caribbean became part of who we are, right, in general. And just what an amazing run that was with that cast and that.
Yeah, it's incredible to be a part of something like that, because it really does mean, unlike, other careers and other things that you do, for a certain generation of people, it's part of their childhood and their upbringing. And that's an incredibly warm and fuzzy feeling, when you meet people like that, and you can see how amazed they are to meet somebody who was actually part of growing up. So it's a feeling I particularly enjoy, and I'm sure the people in Star Wars have that, and the Avengers and all those other franchises.
So incredible. And we had some mutual friends on Pirates of the Caribbean, and I just I wanted to publicly recognize you. You did a wonderful thing for a very dear friend of many of mine, and a very dear friend of mine on Pirates of the Caribbean, for Richard Snell. And we wanted to do a big shout out to you for giving him that send-off down there in the Bahamas.
It was a very difficult time. Richard was my makeup artist, and about halfway through the second film, I think, I met Jeffrey Rush. He was having his breakfast, and he said, "Have you heard the terrible news?" And he told me that Richard died over the weekend. And, a makeup artist and an actor have an incredible relationship together, because they start the day together, they finish the day, they're always with you, making sure you're okay. And to lose a makeup artist like that was just extraordinary. But we gave him a Viking send-off, which would have made him happy, I hope.
I know for sure, and we watched that. It was broadcast back to us here in Los Angeles when I was playing the pipes that day. And thank you. We've always wanted to just thank you, truly, from the bottom of our hearts. We greatly appreciate that. We recorded all of that, so thank you.
Right.
So on a lighter note, what can you tell us about your role with Robert the Bruce?
Well, I had been working on a show in Virginia with Angus MacFadyen, and we lived in the same building, and we hung out a lot together. And he phoned me up at the beginning of, I guess it was 2018, and said, I'm doing this film, Robert the Bruce, and it's just a couple of scenes of this really sort of intense blacksmith, and I would love you to do it. So I flew over to beautiful Montana, where a lot of it was filmed, and played Sean the Smith. And it was funny, because as soon as I'd finished it, I went to Utah to play another blacksmith. So for a while there, the only roles I was playing were blacksmiths with very big mountains in the background. It was something I would hope would stay to the rest of my career, but it only lasted for 2 jobs. So there we go. But it was really funny, because it was a fortuitous bit of casting, because the first sort of major role I had as a young man was playing a blacksmith in 1977 in a show called Poldark that we did back then. And I had to play a blacksmith in that, and I was taught by a blacksmith how to blacksmith. So I was very cocky every time I got near a forge, saying, "I know exactly what to do now, and you don't need any special effects. You know, I can hammer a piece of metal with the best of them. So that's 3 Smiths I've played in my life now.
Well, my goodness. Well, having said that, in all seriousness, you have quite an amazing body of work, actually, spanning maybe some, I'm going to say, give or take 5 decades.
God, is it 5 decades? Dear, that makes 70s, 80s, 90s, noughts, 10s. Yeah. I'm actually going into my 6th decade next year.
I didn't want to say, but I mean, but that is quite a feat. I mean,
Yeah, well, I think that obviously starting young helps, and I was 16 when I did my first professional job. But what more than the longevity is the and when you start out as an actor, I don't know, maybe I meet a lot of people who want to be famous, and I meet a lot of people who, you know, want to do specific, you know, films, or they want to do TV, or they want to do soap. But what I've enjoyed is that I've very rarely, if ever, had a time when I was not looking forward to my next project. And I really like the fact that I get to do my work all the time. So I've never been particularly sitting around going, oh God, I want to be more famous, or I want to be. I sit around going, oh, I hope this keeps up. You know what I mean? It's been a little bit tricky for me because I do work all the time during this lockdown. But I fortunately, more by luck than application, I set up a small recording studio at home. So I've been doing voiceover work.
Oh, wow.
So I've been managing to keep quite busy even in this time.
You know, that's phenomenal. And I would beg to differ that it's not maybe by luck, because you attended the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art.
Yes.
And you won Best Actor Bancroft Gold Medal.
I did. Much to my friend's annoyance, I also won Most Promising Actor. I don't know how you can be Most Promising and Best, but I did win the pair of those. And that's a great start because it gave me a little bit of publicity, you know, because people did a few articles about me. So it was a really good start. I think drama schools nowadays, the whole idea of awards has gone out of fashion somewhat, which I can see the reason for. But I was certainly glad they had awards when I was there, as I say, because it really helped launch me into my career and you know, and come straight out of drama school and start working.
Well, that's so exciting. I'm so excited to hear about RADA, because I've been fortunate enough to study at RADA for the past 3 summers, and it's been so fun. There's a stairwell at RADA for people listening that haven't been inside of RADA, where there's plaques that lists all the award winners. And
yes,
your name is up there, and it's really, really cool to see that.
I know. I go back and teach at RADA sometimes, and when I do, I always make sure I go past that plaque.
Absolutely.
Just have a little look at it. Yeah.
Well, question for you, because as an American, I studied in New York, I studied in London, and studied in Los Angeles. And we've been chatting with so many of your fellow cast members from Robert the Bruce today that are all over the world and have so many different variety of backgrounds of where they're coming from theater to TV and film. You know, from coming from RADA and your, 5 decades of work, what was it like working with the cast from Robert the Bruce?
Well, it was extraordinary because, as you say, it was an incredible mix of people. So most of us, apart from Angus, were concentrating on getting the accent right, because it's, and also it's not just accent. There's a wonderful thing that very good actors have of understanding what they're in, organically understanding the style or the period. Sometimes you work with actors and you go, or you see actors on the TV and, maybe they're doing a Miss Marple, it's set in the 30s, and you go, no, you just have maintained this modern thing that doesn't quite gel with it. So we were all very much trying to get the feel of what that period, those lives were like. So it was pretty concentrated and intense. And I know that, Angus and I are very good friends, and I knew that he would be on me straight away if I didn't if I didn't do the accent justice, but he didn't complain, so I think I must have got there in the end.
It was wonderful. Definitely a fantastic accent.
Thank you.
Do you have any Scottish roots? Speaking of Robert the Bruce.
No. I'm Irish through and through.
I kind of knew that from your name.
Yeah, the MC is the giveaway, and your MACs tend to be more your Scottish. Although it's not in the north. There was a lot of immigration between the north of Ireland and Scotland, so you know there are Scottish names there, but I don't have any of that. I'm absolutely 100% Paddy. That's what I am.
Well, I love that you are, and if you want to ever come and attend our ScotWeek events, I will play Irish on the pipes for you.
Well, thank you very much. I'll take you up on that.
And on a more serious note, so you actually have a famous beard, and I noticed you're kind of clean shaven today, but is that something?
A little bit,
a little scruffy.
It's called lockdown shaven. This is. You can't be asked to shave. You just you get the old hair trimmer out and just get most of it off. You know?
Well, how is your facial hair for different films and theater? Or do you grow it out? Do you do detachable ones?
No, I always try to. I'll tell you what happened. The first job I did, Poldark. I had been doing. I'd been playing a military character, and I had very short hair. And of course, Poldark is set in the 18th century, so I had a wig. For the 9 months that I shot this TV series. And I said to myself, never, ever again, if I can avoid having a wig, will I have one. So I was fortunate enough with the first pirate film that I had plenty of warning. So I just grew my hair out and my beard out. And I thought, when I get there, I'll decide what to do. And, you know, we were looking through books about the way people wore their hair, the way sailors could wear their hair. And I did think we have a thing in the British Navy, because my character starts out in the Navy, called a full set. You can't wear just a moustache or a little bit. You have to wear a full set. But in the 18th century, they did allow these mutton chops. And I found pictures, drawings, paintings. And I thought, that would just look really distinctive and cool. And I also thought, in all the big crowd scenes, people would be able to pick me out because of my big white mutton chops. So that's why we did that. And I managed to do that. We had a ceremony. Me and Dan, my stuntman, he would grow his hair and his beard. And on the first day, I would go in and shave Dan to make him look like me, which we really like doing that. But I managed to do it on the first 4 films. But we went to Australia to do the 5th film in 2015, and I just didn't have the time. So I had to have the wig, the mutton chops stuck on me, and I hated every second of it. Because I'd sort of decided on the first film, I thought, what do I want? Do I want to have less time in the makeup chair in the morning and look like an idiot all day? Or do I want to look pretty cool in the evening, but spend an extra hour and a half in the chair? So I went for looking like an idiot and having less time in the chair.
Do you find that you're recognized more in public when you are wearing? Do you still kind of just grow that out every once in a while just for fun and go out in public?
No, when making the films and when having those mutton chops, obviously, although I'm quite anonymous in life, I don't get recognized very much, you know, because I play a lot of different characters, so I don't have a singular look. But when I've got those mutton chops and the long hair, particularly children will go, "It's a pirate," and their parents will usually slap them around their head and say, "I told you about making up stories like that. Stop it." I always feel sorry for those children in the supermarkets whose parents think they're making up stories about seeing pirates. But I find that most gratifying, that I can be recognizable looking one way, and then I can have my anonymity back just through the use of a razor.
Oh my goodness. Well, from the movie The Spy Who Loves Me, which you were in with Roger Moore.
Well, can you go on?
Oh, I was just gonna say two Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp and the crew, Valkyrie with Tom Cruise. You just have such a broad range of everything that you've done, and you've done radio, television, film, stage, and you've also been a writer. I mean,
yes.
Do you have any favorites, any favorite movies, any favorite projects, anything that really stands out as
Well, funnily enough, my favorite project, I think, is probably the sort of least glamorous of all of those things that you've mentioned, because I spent from 2014 or 2013 through 2017 recreating lost radio programs by a very famous British comedian called Tony Hancock, who growing up was my hero. He was a very funny man. My dad introduced him to me in the 60s, and I loved his TV programs, and I loved his radio shows. And he sadly was a terrible alcoholic and committed suicide at the age of 44 in 1968. And 20 of the radio programs were lost because the BBC had a policy back in the day of reusing tape, because it was very expensive in the 50s and the 60s. So a friend of mine, Neil Person, managed to persuade the BBC to let us recreate them as accurately as possible. And so I spent 4 years doing that, doing 5 of those a year, and I even did one of them on the television. And I think that's my most sort of the project I'm most proud of, because it was an incredible labor of love. I also then managed to recreate a television program called Dad's Army. There were 4 episodes of that were lost, and we did that for the television. And I quite like that idea of going back to something that you can look at a lot of source material and try to, as accurately as possible, recreate a character that some other actor has done, and find all the tropes that they have, and find the voice and the look and the walk. It's a very gratifying exercise to do. But having said that, you cannot imagine the excitement of 19-year-old me walking onto the set of Pinewood to be in a James Bond film back in 1977. I mean, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. And I didn't really achieve that excitement again until 2002, when I did the first pirate film. Because I think I remember about 5 years before I did Pirates, I was sitting in a dressing room in a theater waiting to go on stage, and I was looking at myself in the mirror thinking, I guess I'll never be on a Hollywood backlot now. I'm 41 years old, and I guess I've missed that boat. 5 years later, I find myself in the back of a van, asleep at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the guy wakes me up and says, we've arrived at Universal Studios, and rather than going through the entrance where you go on the rides, he drove me through where it said performer's entrance. And I said, stop, back up. He said, it's too late. If you've forgotten anything, we can't go back now. I said, no, just back up and drive through that entrance really slowly, because this is my first entrance onto a Hollywood backlot, and I want to really enjoy it. And on that first film, I worked at Universal Studios, Disney. We worked at Warner. I subsequently worked at Fox. And, you know, for a young lad from Birmingham, England, just to be working in these huge studios that I'd grown up watching the movies of was, it's an unbelievable thrill. Childish as that may sound, it's an unbelievable thrill.
No, not at all. And actually, and your character on Pirates of the Caribbean was one of the most, if not the most enjoyable of all the characters. You're always doing something.
I think definitely the most enjoyable of all the characters, I feel. Although it's very funny. I mean, obviously he's an integral part, but a supporting role. I do, when I tour around conventions, often people will come up to me and say, is there going to be a new pirate film? And I would always, before the last 5, say yes. And they'd say, is Johnny Depp going to be in it? And I always like to say to them, no, it's just going to be me. And see the disappointment on their faces, and then realize I'm kidding with them. But yeah, it's a great role. I love playing him. I loved playing him. I guess I might not play him again. I don't know. But just fabulous. Fabulous just to be the wonderful thing about playing a pirate is they're like children. They're selfish and violent, you know. So just playing somebody who doesn't give a damn about anybody else is a great relief, you know, from all the worry and care that you have to bring to real life.
You know, I have a quick question. It's not actually on our list of questions, but I know there's at one point, I forget which movie of Pirates of the Caribbean, you do make reference to Captain Jack's Rum Runners, which is our group.
Oh, yes. I can't remember what that's in.
I can't either, but I remember that. And I wondered if that was, you know, in reference to our group, because so many of our group were involved in that production, or if
Well, I
if
would
it was just for
imagine
fun.
I would imagine that's why the writers put it in. Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah.
Well, and as such, I just want to let you know we're having your own initiation into the Rum Runners. I'm trying to get to the camera. There we go. Wait. There it is.
There it is.
Of the Rum Runner ring.
Oh,
So,
great.
as soon as you're back in LA, you must let us know, and we still have some of our rum.
Oh, great. I will be there.
We make homemade rum.
Great.
Well, also, I'm curious too, because, you know, all actors, we always have our bucket list of roles or types of characters that we want to play, whether it's for, you know, Mad King Lear or, you know, Captain Nemo, those kind of things. Is there anything on your bucket list where you're just like, yes, I want to play this role?
No, to be absolutely honest, because King Lear came as a surprise to me. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I was surprised how funny the play is and how moving the play is. But being in the fortunate position of working all the time, I can honestly say, whenever somebody says, what's your favorite role? I usually answer the next one. That will be my favorite role. And I don't know what it's going to be. Well, I do actually know what a couple of my favorite roles is going to be.
Can you share it?
Well, I can share a little bit about it.
Yeah.
The gentleman who directed Robert the Bruce, Richie, is directing another film, which he wants me to be in. And what is extraordinary about it is, in the other answer I have to what would you like to be in, I always wanted to be in, I want to be an astronaut and I want to be a cowboy. And Richie's next film is a Western. So
Yes.
I'm getting to be a cowboy.
That's amazing.
So I'm so excited about that. And I'm really, really annoyed with COVID-19 that I don't know when I'm going to start shooting it. But I'm really looking forward to it. And to get back to beautiful Montana as well.
We are so excited to see that film. You know, Cindi and I are both from Texas, so we know how to ride horses and shoot guns. So if you need anybody,
you need any extras on that film.
Well, there are a lot of young women in it. They all work in a brothel. So if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine.
we get to shoot
I have a
some
brothel
guns?
upstairs in my saloon.
I can play my bagpipes too, just for fun.
Oh, terrific! Well, that's great.
No, I from what I understand from Richie, they're going to start hopefully filming that in September, which should be amazing.
Fantastic.
So,
yeah. I've seen the pictures of the town that they've built. It's just extraordinary. I mean, the effort and the investment they've already put into it. It's going to be wonderful. I think it's a wonderful script as well. It's so exciting.
Well, I hope we get to see you there.
I know. I'm very thrilled about it. It's, you know, that's. I didn't think I'd ever get to be a cowboy, and I'm going to get to be one.
That's wonderful. Is there anything, Kevin, that you would like to leave us with? Anything you want to talk about before we let you go?
I think I've pretty much covered everything. I mean, we've gone right back to the 70s when I was at drama school, and my first film and my last film and my next film, and long may it continue. I feel I must. There's one thing I would like to say. I mentor an actor who left drama school in March with a wonderful job to go to, a wonderful job offer. And of course, for all the young actors who are starting out now, their lives are on hold. For me, it's a minor inconvenience, but, you know, I can afford to live. These people can't. And so the one thing I would ask everyone to look out for is if there's any way you can help your local theatre or you can help local film production, if you can find some way to keep the sort of venues and the sort of companies going that are going to be able to get back up off their knees within the next year and help these young performers and technicians and backstage people to get back to doing what they love, then take that opportunity and be as generous as you can.
You know, that's wonderful to leave with everyone. One of the board members of ScotWeek is Director Louis Fantasia, who you may or may not be familiar with. And our hearts are in theater as well. And anything we can do to help, you know, we're looking at ways of, which is why we're doing this right now this way, virtually, and how we can shine spotlight for people. And certainly, I feel like some performances could still happen on stage, especially if they're broadcast and filmed and shot out to audiences in other ways, which is what we're trying to do here. And so our heart's right there with you on that. And anything we can do to help, we are very happy to facilitate.
Oh, well done. Great. I'm glad. Isn't it wonderful that we're, I wish I'd bought stock in Zoom before all this happened, I tell you. Because some people are cleaning up right now.
I know. Thank you so much, Kevin, for being here with us today.
It's been my pleasure. Back to normal now. There we go.
Wonderful.
Am I being healthy or a cowboy? I can't work out which.
That's perfect. Thank you so very much. What a great joy and a great pleasure to see you here.
Yes, thank you so much, Kevin. It's so lovely to connect with you.
Kelsey, Cindi, it's lovely to meet you both.
Okay, take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.